Alexander Seton, 1st Earl of Dunfermline, was a Scottish lawyer, judge and politician. He served as Lord President of the Court of Session from 1598 to 1604, Lord Chancellor of Scotland from 1604 to 1622, and as a Lord High Commissioner to the Parliament of Scotland. Career. Born at Seton Palace, East Lothian, Alexander was the son of George Seton, 7th Lord Seton, and Isabel Hamilton. The Setons remained a Roman Catholic family after the Scottish Reformation of 1560, and continued to support Mary, Queen of Scots, after her abdication and exile in England. Alexander was educated at the German and Roman College in Rome from June 1571 to December 1578. Alexander was noted learning Italian and science in Rome by Battista da Trento in 1577 in a letter describing plots to marry Elizabeth I of England to the Earl of Leicester and reinstate Mary in Scotland. The family historian Viscount Kingston heard it said that he was skilled in mathematics, heraldry and architecture, and Alexander might have been made a cardinal if he had stayed at Rome. In 1583, Alexander joined his father's embassy to France. William Shaw, the Master of Work to the Crown of Scotland, was his companion. They left from Leith in Andrew Lamb's ship, according to the Jesuit Robert Parsons. Lord Seton even considered sending the youthful Alexander back to Scotland as his representative at one point. Alexander became a Privy Councillor in 1585 and was appointed a Lord of Session as Lord Urquhart in 1586. He rose to be Lord President of the Court of Session and was created Lord Fyvie on 4 March 1598. Anne of Denmark, in her capacity as Lady of Dunfermline, made him Baillie and Justiciary of the Regality of Dunfermline on both sides of Forth on 15 February 1596. At the end of August 1596, according to James Melville, the king arranged a convention of the estates at Falkland Palace which included the allies of the forfeited earls. Alexander Seton made a speech like those of Coriolanus or the Mistocles, calling for the reinstatement of these earls to strengthen the country. The reference to the Mistocles, who spoke about naval power to the Athenians, perhaps refers to the forfeited Lord High Admiral of Scotland, Francis Stewart, 5th Earl of Bothwell. On 7 November 1598 he was made Burgess, Guild Brother and Provost of Edinburgh. In March 1598 he took delivery of Spanish and Bordeaux wine, probably for the banquet for Ulrich, the younger brother of Anne of Denmark, at Riddle's court. Other notes in the town's records include a dozen torches supplied by a waxmaker for the baptism of Princess Margaret in April 1599. And another dozen for the baptism of Prince Charles. His was regarded as one of the finest legal minds of the time, and he became an advisor to James VI and guardian and tutor to Prince Charles, then called the Duke of Albany. After the union of the crowns, Seton remained on the committee supervising Anne's Scottish incomes, while James VI went to England, and the infant Charles remained with Seton at Dunfermline Palace. On 14 March 1604, Seton wrote to Robert Cecil on the subject of the union and opinion in Scotland. This union is the most at this time of all men's hearts and speeches. I find none of any account here, but glad in heart to embrace the same in general. Some suspect the particular conditions may engender greater difficulties. I hope the wisdom of the Prince, who is both the ground and the cornerstone of this happy union, with your and other wise men's assistance, shall set by all such difficulties. As also I think there can be no particular condition desired for the weal of one of the nations, but it must be profitable to the other, nor nothing prejudicial to one, but must be hurtful to the other, albeit only by the distracting of the due concord which wise men will think of greater consequence, nor any particular may be subtly cozened in. This is all I can write even of our thoughts hereaway. I doubt not there are divers apprehensions there also. Quote, in 1604 he was appointed Lord Chancellor of Scotland and was created Earl of Dunfermline in 1605. Alexander Seton brought Prince Charles, Duke of Albany, to England in August 1604. He stayed in London till January 1605 in London, coinciding with the visit of the Ulrich, Duke of Holstein, and had a tour of armouries at the Tower of London. While he was at Whitehall, Viscount Cranborne arranged for him to read the original Treaty of Greenwich, which had led to the War of the Rough Wooing in 1543, and other documents which he returned to Cecil on the 3rd of November. Alexander returned to Scotland with more funding to reward his keeping of Prince Charles, made Duke of York on Twelfth Night, and his expenses for his pains in the Union, amounting to £200 a year. In 1616 he was required by the Privy Council of Scotland to declare what remained of the Scottish royal tapestry collection at Dunfermline Palace. He stated there were 10 pieces of old and worn tapestry of the story of Aeneas, the story of Troy, and of the story of Mankind. His modern humanist and neo-Stoic attitude was demonstrated by his energetic defensive guileless Johnston accused of witchcraft in 1614. Artistic and literary patronage. A portrait of his wife Margaret-He, painted by Marcus Garrard the Younger in 1615, is in the Dunedin Public Art Gallery. Part of a painted ceiling bearing his monogram and heraldry is displayed at Edinburgh's Huntly House Museum. His painted long gallery is still preserved at Pinkie House, now Loretto School. Of Pinkie House the family historian wrote, he built a noble house, brave stone dykes about the garden and orchards, with other commendable policy about it. Archaeologists have discovered parts of his garden at 5e. His will referred to tapestry of portrait and forest work, and gilt leather hangings and curtains, almost as valuable as his library at 5e and Pinkie. A catalogue of part of his library survives. In 1599 Robert Pont, the father of the cartographer Timothy Pont, dedicated his book, A New Treatise of the Right Reckoning of Years and Ages of the World, to Alexander Seton. The dedication addressed Seton as amongst the rare Mecenases of this land. Quote, in 1617, John Napier of Merchiston dedicated his Rubdologia Seu Numerationis per Virgulas Libri Duo to Seton. The book describes the method of multiplication using the rods called Napier's bones, and its Latin dedication acknowledges the help of Seton as the illustrious Scottish Mecenas. Alexander Seton also commissioned the tomb of his friend the architect William Shaw at Dunfermline Abbey. Death and funeral. After 15 days of illness, Alexander died on Sunday, the 16th of June 1622 at Pinkie. On the 19th of June his body was taken by boat across the Forth to his house at Dalgetty Bay near Dunfermline. He was buried in his vault in Dalgetty Church on the 9th of July 1622. A manuscript describes in detail the elaborate procession from the house to the kirk, which included his master stabler riding in full armour, and his master household with a black flag painted with a skull and tears. John Spottiswoode, Archbishop of St Andrews, gave the sermon. Marriages and children. Alexander Seton first married Lilias Drummond, daughter of Patrick Drummond, 3rd Lord Drummond. The children were Anne Seton, married Alexander Erskine, Viscount Fentoun. Their eldest son was Alexander Erskine, 3rd Earl of Kelly. Isabel Seton married John Maitland, 1st Earl of Lauderdale. Margaret Seton died in infancy. Margaret Seton married Colin Mackenzie, 1st Earl of Seaforth. Sophia Seton married David Lindsay, 1st Lord Lindsay of Balcarres. Alexander Seton married secondly in 1601. Grizzel Leslie, a daughter of James Leslie, Master of Rothes. The children were: Charles, died young; Lilia Seton. Jean Seton married John He, 8th Lord Yester. Alexander Seton married thirdly, circa 1607, Margaret He, daughter of John He, 7th Lord Yester. Charles Seton, 2nd Earl of Dunfermline. Grizzel Seton, Mary Seton, Seton's widow Margaret He married James Livingston, Lord Armand and Earl of Callendar, in 1633.